What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about the neon nerfs because honestly in my opinion Riot completely overdid them. Before we start, as always, a quick disclaimer: I'm not a pro player or a coach or an analyst. I'm just someone with a ton of hours in ranked who plays the game consistently, so this is all based on my experience actually grinding the game. If you disagree with anything I say, feel free to roast me in the comments, but let's get into it. Do I think Neon was strong before? Yeah, I think she was. Do I think she needed changes? Yeah, probably. But the issue is that Riot didn't just tone her down, they completely nuked her. And honestly, I don't even think Neon herself was the biggest problem. The real issue was that the sentinels are extremely weak. I know I keep bringing this up in basically every video I make, but I genuinely do think weak sentinels are one of the biggest problems in Valorant's current meta, because the entire purpose of sentinels is to punish aggression. That's literally their role, that's why they were made. If somebody wants to sprint onto site, fly through a choke point or run it down every round, sentinels are supposed to slow that down. But right now, a lot of sentinels just don't do that consistently anymore. Cypher got nerfed, Sage Walls don't have enough HP, Deadlock is still situational, and outside of Killjoy, most sentinel setups don't feel nearly as threatening as they used to. So naturally, agents like Neon become way stronger because there is less counterplay. And honestly, I think that's the reason why Neon felt so oppressive in ranked especially. In pro play, teams coordinate utility better, they trade and they punish aggression. But ranked is chaos. Most ranked teams are not communicating enough to consistently stop a Neon flying onto site. And you know, everybody has had that one ranked game when Neon just slides through a smoke, stuns half your team, kills everyone, and the round's over. And those feel horrible. But to be fair, I do understand Riot and why they wanted to nerf her. Movement is extremely hard to balance in tactical shooters, because when movement characters become way too strong, the game can start feeling less tactical and more like people are just running around at light speed taking fights. And honestly, frustration also matters a lot, even if the agent itself isn't statistically broken. But the community itself feels miserable playing against that one agent, and Riot eventually has to do something about it. So I do understand their side of the story, but at the same time, I still think they overreacted way too hard, because instead of mainly fixing the role that's supposed to counter aggression, they just nuke Neon. And now they're also talking about buffing sentinels. So that's the part that worries me the most, because imagine Neon was an A tier agent and weak sentinels pushed her up into S tier because there was no counterplay. Now Neon got nerfed all the way down to like B tier, and if sentinels get buffed afterwards, she could genuinely become unplayable. Honestly, I think Riot could have solved this problem with much smaller changes. For example, the few nerf alone was probably enough, making it harder for Neon to constantly just chain momentum and recharge few after every kill she gets would slow her down naturally. That change makes sense, but the movement speed reduction while jumping on top of everything else just feels excessive, because Neon's entire identity is speed. That's literally the reason why people play the character. And once you start heavily nerfing the movement itself, Agent starts losing her identity. And honestly, that kind of feels like the pattern lately. Yoru got hit hard, now Neon. It almost feels like when an agent becomes overly aggressive, Riot gets scared and they nerf it into the ground. Who's next? Phoenix? Hopefully not. And the weird thing is that Neon wasn't even dominating every level of play equally. But let's be honest, anything fast and aggressive becomes way strong when communication is bad. That's why ranked and pro play often feel completely different, and honestly, I think Riot sometimes balances too heavily around frustration instead of the actual root problem. Then maybe the solution isn't nuking every aggressive character from the game, but instead improving the defensive utility that counters them. Overall, I do agree Neon needed some nerfs. I'm not saying she was broken before. Riot definitely overdid it in my opinion. I really think smaller adjustments combined with stronger sentinels would have created a much healthier meta overall for the game. But yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts on the new nerfs. If you guys have a different opinion, you can share it with me in the comments. Do you think Riot finally balanced Neon properly, or did they just completely nuke the character? And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, because I'm probably going to keep making more videos talking about rank, the meta, and the overall state of Valorant. Peace.